How long was it before you got bullied into inventing some tune?
I suppose I heard the first 3 or 4 music days, and then I started perhaps to play a bit of guitar with Jeff or somebody, and I think you asked me then.
I probably asked you, had you ever made up
Yeah,
tunes?
yeah.
You said not really, didn't
No,
you?
no. I've always been a solitary guitar player. Very interested in the instrument, but perhaps not without any. I had no musical theory, no musical knowledge.
Well, I was surprised when you did. I can't remember if it was Fingertips or Typing, but the first one you did was so good. I couldn't believe you could do another as good, and then you did.
I think you're flattering me because often I'll go to Michaela and ask her to resolve it because I don't really know keys, and when you're playing a series of chords, you can hear whether it's right or wrong, but you don't quite know how to fix it if it's wrong. So I would go to her. I mean, I know some standards, sort of C, G, D sequences, but in the end you exhaust them, so you've got to find something new. And of course, working with Maria, I think Maria's wonderful to work for because a lot of range in her voice, and she's very inventive.
Mm. Did you generally pick a lyric?
I didn't, because I know the speed you're working at. I probably didn't look through more than the top 2 or maybe 3 in the sheaf of lyrics. So, no, I would just think, well, this is what I've got to work with, so I'll find something to fit.
So, yeah, but you would choose the lyric, not Maria or Michaela.
No.
You chose it.
Yeah, I would say, look, listen, and I would have a go at it perhaps on my own or with Maria, and I would have to come up with something. So I would come up with a rhythm, probably. I'd probably start with a rhythm rather than a tune.
Yes.
To think, well, the lyric here lends itself, the poem lends itself to something sad or, wistful, or, it's an upbeat or something like that. I would look for rhythm.
That would stand to reason because drum was probably the first instrument, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
So rhythm would be the key.
It's a communication, isn't it?
Yes, to communicating an emotion, in a sense.
Yes.
And then the tune, you'll find the tune, or Maria will find it, or Michaela.
Well, it's funny
How
that
do
you
they
see.
find it?
Well, you see, if you're imposing a stricture, if you're saying it mustn't be like anything else, and we're saying, well, I can sneak that in. It's a bit like a Tamla Motown song I knew when I was 17, but nobody else will remember it, and it's probably gone beyond its copyright. Anyway, but I don't think there's anything original in music. I mean, I listen to the most asinine of pop when Eleanor's in the car. She has, by turns, Pirate FM, Heart, Radio 1, sometimes Radio 2. And when you've been listening to pop music for I guess, 50 years, you realise that everything's recycled. The classic court case was George Harrison was taken to court for My Sweet Lord by somebody like the Shirelles for He's So Fine. And it was and in those days more than 5 consecutive notes the same and you had to change it or pay. But it doesn't operate anymore.
So it doesn't?
No, with sampling and downloading I think there's a great free use out there. But the other superb musicians whom you use, Andrew, might take me to task, and someone like Jonathan Cajor probably would name 50 tunes that he's invented. But so I don't know whether I'm speaking correctly.
Yes.
But my feeling is that most things are recycled.
Yes, I suppose, but you could probably say the same about a painting or a poem or anything, really, couldn't you?
Well, is there anything
There are
ever?
bits.
The search for originality is pretty. I don't. If that's your only intent, then you're not going to produce anything worthwhile. If you only want to produce something original,
I'm just
you'll succeed, but it won't have any value.
yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
I don't think.
I'm really just interested in observing how tunes are made because I don't understand,
No.
and it's
No.
fascinating.
Well, when you get someone like Alan, who is a superb musician, can hear the tiniest of nuances, and he knows if an instrument's sort of out of tune by a minute amount, and he he knows classical music. What he's doing. Although, funnily enough, I don't suppose does Alan come up with tunes?
No, not often.
No,
He doesn't. He's
no.
incredibly versatile,
Yeah.
and his strength is improvisation. He
But-
can come to tree with no practice.
But collaboration as well, because he will say, and he's very good at persuading someone to change a chord or a tune slightly as I say, to resolve it. It's this resolution. There's this thing
yes.
that da 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 da, and then you want to find where it goes next, and that's what I'm doing. But it takes me an awful long time, and then we listen to it, or you come and listen to it, and you say there's not, even though as you say you don't know, but you know why it's not right, and we look back at it, and we might have been pleased with it, but sometimes it works.
See, I think what's interesting about you is you have evolved a system which you hit on for the first one, and you've kept to, which is that you need Maria on one side, Michaela on the other.
Yes.
You need one to develop the tune with, perhaps, and the other to resolve it.
Yes. Yeah.
That's an interesting thing because you're beginning with the rhythm. You're choosing the lyric, getting the rhythm.
Yeah.
Then you're working towards the tune, and it's resolved by Michaela.
Well, I like rhythm, and I think after playing the guitar for 40 odd years, I think I have got quite a good sense of rhythm. I can play along with other people to a certain extent, and I can usually stay in time. And so I do love the rhythmic quality. I like hitting the strings and hitting the scratch board or the soundboard to get a rhythm. In fact, my strumming is all it's using the side of my hand, and I do like that. I like that sound on the guitar.
So you've enjoyed these music days that we've done?
Yeah, it's incredibly intimidating to be given be given a very short time in which to make something up. But then, of course, that's a lot of adrenaline in that as well. So, it's an unnerving experience, but it's like everything in retrospect, it's very enjoyable. I'm always looking for excuses not to do it, as you know.
Yes.
My hands are dirty, I've cut my finger, I'm out in the garden, I'm not here. But you're very good at persuading. So,
well, it's your place, so you've got places you can go.
yeah, I know, I can run away. But
Yeah.
I do quite enjoy it. And funnily enough, I do watch, we do watch the DVDs when they return to us, and we go through them. And, we've got favourites. What are we, day 30?
We're day 47.
Day 47. So we've got favourites, and I'd know where to find them out of 47 DVDs. And it's quite interesting. And we always have fun because it's always say, oh gosh, that was in the summer, we were out in the shed. Oh, that's when the shed was being built because there's no floor.
Oh, yeah.
And, there's a lot, and the deck house has been, either absolutely crammed full of crap and tools and all that stuff, or it's been completely emptied. And the way you get sound in these little rooms is really good. The back door table tennis room works really well.
For the big numbers, doesn't it?
Yeah.
We've got a lovely range of acoustic spaces, about 7 or 8, haven't we?
Yeah, and they are, you begin to notice these things, and, it's just been a great thing for us. I mean, it's been an incredible source of, meeting people with like minds and going off and to hear them play in other places. Who would have thought that we would have gone off to the Turnpike in Colin Downs to get Harry to do his first gig in the pub if it hadn't been for Jeff and Michaela.
Yes.
So lots of connections, and we've been to hear Maria sing in St Mary's Church, and it's a great foment of
Yes, and of course
activity.
With the acting as well, which you've been involved in.
Yeah,
too,
sometimes,
as
yes. Yeah.
of course, we're working towards musicals, aren't we? Really?
Yes, and of course you can write a musical about anything. If you can write an opera about Nixon in China, you can write a musical. And they used to have on the TV show, Whose Line Is It Anyway? They would give people the improvisation. They would say, make a musical up about a driving instructor or, a midwife. And of course you can. You can do a recitative. you can do, yeah, I'm sure it's possible.
Thank you very much.